Robert Horry just dropped a bomb on the Los Angeles Lakers, and it's the kind of statement that's going to have people talking for the rest of the season. Big Shot Rob, the seven-time NBA champion who knows a thing or two about what it takes to win at the highest level, went on record saying that JJ Redick's time as head coach of the Lakers might be coming to an end a lot sooner than people think. And he didn't just stop there. He also said that Rob, the general manager, who's been running the show for years, is on the hot seat as well. According to Horry, if the Lakers don't make it to at least the Western Conference Finals this season, both of those guys are going to be shown the door. And the reasoning behind it all comes down to new ownership wanting to put their own stamp on the organization, combined with the belief that JJ Redick simply doesn't have what it takes to be the kind of coach that a team like the Lakers needs, especially when you're trying to build around a young superstar like LeBron James. Now, before we dive deep into what Horry said and what it all means for the Lakers' future, let's set the stage here, because this isn't just some random hot take from a former player looking for attention. Robert Horry is a Lakers legend. He won 2 championships with them in 2001 and 2002. He was a part of the Shaq and Kobe dynasty. He hit some of the biggest shots in playoff history. He knows what championship culture looks like from the inside. So when he speaks about the Lakers organization, about what kind of coach they need, about what kind of leadership it takes to win in Los Angeles, people listen. This isn't on first take stirring the pot for ratings. This is a guy who lived it, who won multiple titles with multiple franchises, and who understands the pressure cooker that comes with coaching and managing one of the most scrutinized teams in all of professional sports. Let's start with what Horry actually said, because the way he laid it out was very clear and very direct. He said that with new ownership coming in, specifically with the recent changes in the Lakers' front office structure and ownership group, there's going to be a desire to bring in their own people. That's how these things work in professional sports. When new ownership takes over or when there's a significant shift in the power structure, they want to put their fingerprints on the organization. They want their own general manager. They want their own head coach. They want their own scouting department. They want people they trust. People who share their vision, people who are going to execute the plan the way they want it. And according to Horry, been in his position for long enough that new ownership is going to look at him and ask a very simple question. What have you done for us lately? Lakers general manager since 2017. He was there when they signed LeBron James in 2018. He was there when they traded for Anthony Davis in 2019. He was there when they won the championship in 2020 inside the bubble. All of that is part of his resume, and all of that matters. But it's also been 4 years since that championship, and the Lakers have been wildly inconsistent during that time. They've had early playoff exits, they've had injury problems, they've made questionable roster moves. They've struggled to build a sustainable contending team around LeBron and AD. And now, with LeBron getting older and the clock ticking on his career, the pressure is mounting. Horry's argument is that if the Lakers don't make a deep playoff run this season, if they flame out in the first round or get bounced in the second round, then Pelinka's time is up. New ownership is going to want someone fresh, someone who can bring a new perspective and a new energy to the front office. But the more interesting part of Horry's comments wasn't about Pelinka, it was about JJ Redick. Because while Pelinka has been in his role for years and has a track record to evaluate, JJ Redick is still in his first season as a head coach. This is literally his rookie year on the bench. He's never coached at any level before this, not in college, not as an assistant in the NBA, not in the G League. He went straight from being a player and a podcast host to being the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most high-pressure jobs in all of sports. And according to Robert Horry, that lack of experience is showing. Horry said that JJ Redick is trying to be too friendly with the players, that he's trying to be a friend and a coach at the same time, and that approach simply doesn't work in the NBA, especially not with a team that has championship expectations. Horry's point is that the Lakers need a coach who can command respect, who can hold players accountable, who can be tough when the situation calls for it. They need someone who's going to walk into that locker room and establish authority from day one, someone who's going to make it clear that there are standards and consequences and a certain way things are going to be done. And in Horry's view, JJ Redick doesn't fit that mold. He's too nice. He's too buddy-buddy with the players. He's trying to be liked instead of trying to be respected.
And that might work for a little while, but when the pressure ramps up in the playoffs, when things get tough and adjustments need to be made and hard conversations need to be had, that friendly approach is going to backfire. Horry specifically mentioned Luka Doncic in his comments, and this is important because it tells you what he's really thinking about the Lakers' future. LeBron James is 40 years old. He's not going to be around much longer. Maybe he plays one more season with the Lakers. Maybe he finishes his career somewhere else. But either way, the clock is ticking. And when LeBron is gone, the Lakers are going to be Luka's team.
Luka Doncic is going to be the franchise player, the guy everything revolves around, the face of the organization. And according to Horry, Luka needs a certain type of coach. He needs someone who can handle his personality, who can push him when he needs to be pushed, who can rein him in when he's doing too much. Luka is incredibly talented, but he also has a tendency to do his own thing, to play at his own pace, to make decisions that don't always fit within the structure of a team system. And if you're going to maximize Luka's potential, if you're going to turn him into a championship-level player, you need a coach who can balance that freedom with discipline. Horry's argument is that JJ Redick is not that coach. Redick is a player's coach. He relates to them because he just retired a few years ago. He understands what they're going through, he speaks their language, but that closeness can also be a weakness. When you're too close to the players, when you're trying to be their friend, it becomes harder to make tough decisions. It becomes harder to bench someone when they're not performing. It becomes harder to call them out in film sessions. It becomes harder to demand more when they're giving you less. And in Horry's view, that's exactly what's happening with the Lakers right now. The team lacks discipline. They lack consistency. They lack accountability. And a big part of that falls on the head coach. Now, let's look at where the Lakers actually are right now, because context matters. As of right now, the Lakers are sitting in the 5th seed in the Western Conference, but that 5th seed is misleading because they're only half a game ahead of the 6th seed, and there are teams right behind them who are playing better basketball. The Minnesota Timberwolves are within striking distance, and they have a better overall profile as a team. The Houston Rockets are also right there, and they've been one of the best defensive teams in the league this season. The Lakers' record might say 5th seed, but their play suggests they're closer to a 6th or 7th seed. And if things don't improve after the All-Star break, they could easily slip into the play-in tournament. And that's where Robert Horry's prediction starts to make a lot of sense. He said that if the Lakers fall into the play-in and then get bounced, Rob Pelinka is getting bounced too. And the same logic applies to JJ Redick. If the Lakers can't even make it out of the first round, if they get embarrassed in the playoffs, if they look unprepared and undisciplined and outcoached, then it doesn't matter that this is Redick's first year. New ownership is going to want to make a change. They're going to want to bring in someone with experience, someone with a proven track record, someone who knows how to navigate the pressure of coaching in Los Angeles. Let's talk about the numbers, because they paint a pretty clear picture of where the Lakers are as a team. Offensively, they're ranked 10th in the league, which is solid but not great. They have enough talent to score, but they're not one of the elite offensive teams. Defensively, they're ranked 23rd out of 30 teams, which is absolutely terrible. Defense wins championships, and the Lakers simply don't have it this season. They give up too many easy baskets, they don't rotate well, they don't communicate, they don't have the intensity or the focus that championship-caliber teams have on the defensive end. And a lot of that comes down to coaching. Defense is about effort, discipline, and accountability. It's about everyone being on the same page and executing the game plan. And right now, the Lakers don't have that. Compare that to the Houston Rockets, who are ranked 7th in offense and 5th in defense, or the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are ranked 7th in defense and 6th in offense. Those are balanced teams. Those are teams that can win in multiple ways. The Lakers are one-dimensional. They can score when their stars are clicking, but they can't stop anyone on the other end, and that's a recipe for playoff failure. There's also the issue of health and availability. LeBron James has been load managing throughout the season, sitting out back-to-backs and resting whenever he feels like he needs it. That's understandable given his age, but it also means the Lakers are rarely at full strength.
Anthony Davis has missed time with various injuries. Austin Reeves has missed games. The starting lineup that the Lakers envisioned at the beginning of the season has barely played together. And when you don't have continuity, when you're constantly juggling lineups and rotations, JJ Redick has had to deal with all of that. And it's fair to say that some of the Lakers' struggles aren't entirely his fault. But coaching is about adapting. It's about making the most of what you have. It's about finding ways to win even when things aren't perfect. And so far, Redick hasn't shown that he can do that at a high level. The Lakers have been inconsistent all season. They beat good teams one night and lose to bad teams the next. They look great in one quarter and fall apart in the next. That's a sign of a team that lacks discipline and structure, and that falls on the coach. Robert Horry also made a point about the playoffs, and this is something that Lakers fans need to hear. He said that unless JJ Redick does something phenomenal and gets the team to the Western Conference Finals, he's not going to be around next season. That's the standard, not just making the playoffs, not just winning a first-round series, the Western Conference Finals. Anything less than that, and Redick is gone. That's a high bar, but it's also the reality of coaching the Lakers. This is a franchise with 17 championships. This is a franchise that expects to compete for titles every single year. They don't give participation trophies. They don't celebrate first-round victories. They measure success by banners. And if you're not delivering that, you're replaceable. And here's the thing. Even if the Lakers do make the Western Conference Finals, there's no guarantee that Redick keeps his job, because new ownership wants their own people. They want to bring in someone who aligns with their vision for the future. And if they decide that JJ Redick isn't that person, they're going to move on regardless of what he accomplished this season. That's just how the business works. Loyalty is great, but results and fit matter more. Let's also talk about LeBron James leaving, because that's a huge part of this equation. There have been rumors for months now that LeBron might want to finish his career in Cleveland, where it all started. He's said multiple times that he wants to play with or against his sons. Bronny is already on the Lakers, but Bryce, his younger son, is still a few years away from the NBA. If LeBron decides he wants to go back to Cleveland to finish his career in front of the fans who watched him grow up, the Lakers aren't going to stand in his way. And with new ownership coming in, there's a very real possibility that they don't want to pay LeBron a massive contract for his age 41 or age 42 season. They might decide it's time to move on and rebuild around younger talent. If LeBron leaves, everything changes for the Lakers. Suddenly, this becomes Luka Doncic's team. And as Robert Horry pointed out, Luka needs a specific type of coach to maximize his potential. He needs someone who can handle his personality, who can push him, who can demand accountability. JJ Redick might not be that coach. Redick's strength is his basketball IQ and his ability to communicate offensive concepts. But coaching is about more than X's and O's. It's about leadership. It's about managing egos. It's about creating a culture. And Redick hasn't proven yet that he can do those things at an elite level. The Lakers are at a crossroads. They have a roster with talent, but they lack consistency, discipline, and a defensive identity. They have a head coach in his first year who's trying to figure things out on the fly. They have a general manager who's been in his role for years but hasn't delivered sustained success. And they have new ownership that's going to want to make changes. Robert Horry's prediction is that both Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick are on borrowed time. If the Lakers don't make a deep playoff run this season, both of them are gone. And honestly, based on everything we've seen so far, that prediction makes a lot of sense. The second half of the season is going to be critical. The Lakers need to figure out their defensive issues. They need to stay healthy. They need to build chemistry. And JJ Redick needs to prove that he can be more than just a friend to the players. He needs to show that he can be a leader, a disciplinarian, a coach who can make the tough calls and hold everyone accountable. If he can do that, maybe he saves his job. But if the Lakers flame out in the first or second round, if they look unprepared and outcoached, then Robert Horry's prediction is going to come true. JJ Redick will be gone, Rob Pelinka will be gone, and the Lakers will be starting over with new leadership and a new direction. That's just the reality of coaching and managing in Los Angeles. The expectations are sky high, the pressure is relentless, and if you don't deliver, you're replaceable.